All right. Peace and greetings, YouTubers. So Donald Trump catching COVID-19. You know what? All I have is this. Mother Nature does not discriminate. Mother Nature is going to do its Mother Nature thing. And in regards to a pandemic, it doesn't matter who you are, what you have, or how much you have, or what your status is, or what it is that you contribute to society, or how important you may be to the collective. If something like a pandemic hits, it's going to do its thing. If Mother Nature wants to shake the table, people will be collateral to what happens with whatever Mother Nature does. And that's why people often take necessary precautions to make sure that they don't fall into that number. But unfortunately, some people have to learn the hard way. And I could sit here and try to be fake with y'all and pretend that I couldn't sleep last night and I'm concerned and, thoughts and prayers that, oh my gosh, I'm not there. I'm sorry. I can only give the president what he has given the American people in response to how he responded to hearing the news of how many casualties there have been. And his words were pretty much, it is what it is. And that's what I can give the president right now. It is what it is as far as him catching it. That's my energy for 2020 in regards to the president having COVID-19. It is what it is. That's my energy for the rest of the year. And I say that because you watch this man just be a clown, just straight up foolery, just a clown all day, just stir up confusion and just run around and just proud about it. Ignorant all day. Ego inflated, because he thinks he's the smartest man in the world. Everybody is stupid. He's smarter than all the scientists. He's smarter than the doctors. Everybody has a low IQ except for him, and we just need to listen to him because he's the smartest man in the world. So you watch him go talk all this trash and criticize people who were trying to do what it was that they could do to try to help the pandemic go away. He criticized different governors for however they decided to try to address the pandemic, since there wasn't any real leadership coming down from the federal level. And you watch different governors or mayors or politicians try to come up with different ideas to make sure that people were safe. And you watched him even combat those people. And so even when we were in the era of some of the stay-at-home orders, you watched him go out and tweet, free this state, free the people of that. These people need to be liberated. And so you just cause chaos. You cause confusion all the time. You fought all the people up top, or all the people who pretty much have more insight about what could have been done. You cut the budgeting to some of the different agencies that would have fought something like this. You done fought the World Health Organization. You fought the CDC. Not only did you fight the CDC, but you compromised them. The CDC was trying to tell the American people one thing, and they'd give insight on Monday about something, but then people on his team would be like, no, that goes against what the president says. So then on Tuesday, the CDC put out something totally different, which would contradict everything that was said on Monday. Then, of course, there's the backlash and the firestorm. So then Wednesday, they backtrack and say, oh, actually, no, that's not what we meant. And then by Thursday, they've remixed something. So they have no credibility at this point to an extent. They've really just pretty much tarnished the credibility that they once had. And so it's like you had all that going. Dr. Fauci, I don't even know why he works for the man, because he gets fried up every other day. And you watch him, attack different journalists who were wearing masks to all of the different events that he would be hosting as far as press conferences. You've just seen chaos and more chaos. You watch him try to downplay the numbers, and it's just like, you got to be kidding me. And so you done did all that, and then you done caught it? Okay. The jokes really write themselves. And it was funny because I think I saw something where it was like, people from the GOP side were saying like somebody like Joe Biden should suspend the campaign until everything clears out and blows over. And I'm like, really? Because honestly, in my opinion, if the tables were turned, and it was Joe Biden who was in that helicopter going to Walter Reed, Trump would have still been having his rally, and he would have been frying up Joe Biden as we speak. It looks like Sleepy Joe's finally going to sleep, y'all. So I'm sorry, we're not going to sit here and play this game of taking the high road when clearly there are people in the leadership who have never taken that road to begin with. And when we talk about leadership, I think that's what the beef is that I really, really have. There are a lot of people in this country, God bless their souls, but, they literally blindly believe any and everything that the leadership puts out there. And this is both parties. It doesn't matter who is in charge. There's always going to be that demographic who really, really put their trust into the leadership, because when you go back to, I guess, the makings of something like the United States, and you go back to the earlier eras, those who were in charge, those who were in power, there was always an element of integrity that people believed that these folks had. And so people will blindly follow the leadership. And so you've watched people literally follow any and everything that the current president has said in regards to how to respond to COVID. And sadly, he's led them into a bunch of chaos, into a burning house, and some people have been, they've become collateral. Absolutely crazy. Like you saw people start trying to use bleach because he said, well, you could use the bleach, it'll kill it. And people over here drinking bleach and taking a bath in bleach, and they just, getting super sick from that. The hydro, whatever that crap is called, he started talking about why they should use that. There were people who didn't understand that there's different forms of that same chemical, and then you had somebody die because they took the version that would go inside of an aquarium for fish, following the president. Even Herman Cain, one of your biggest followers, and I think that's one of the crazy parts too. He doesn't even acknowledge the people who have died following after him. Herman Cain, just imagine dying because you played into a political game that compromised your health. Where you show up at a rally, you don't wear a mask because, of course, Donald Trump has presented himself to be super invincible and super strong, and again, follow what he says and you will live because, he has the strength in the body of a 25-year-old. And so here comes this rally that's indoors in Tulsa, and you have Herman Cain, who is clearly in his 70s. I think he was 74, there with no mask. He catches COVID. He dies. Donald Trump has not even acknowledged Herman Cain. Imagine dying for somebody and they don't even act like they know who you exist. That's some foolery right there. And I always say, literally, you only get one life in the physical, at least the one that we know about. You only get one life. So why would you want to play that into some bipartisan political games? You know what I mean? People have literally compromised their health in the name of politics. People refuse to wear a mask. Some people don't want to social distance because they think it's a ploy where the radical left is trying to control and take over. I'm like, people need to get real. Again, this pandemic is not only limited to the United States. It's global. If you were trying to do the whole bipartisan thing, it would have made sense if only COVID-19 hit the United States and only the United States. Then people would be like, something in here don't add up. Something ain't right in the water. Somebody done did something over here. Somebody need to make this make sense. But you've watched this hit the entire globe. But again, because many people in this country buy into that idea of American exceptionalism and buy into the idea that, you can only see things through the lens of what is spoon-fed to the citizens of America. And because if, stay inside this American lane and everything is America, look at what's happening. It's just absolutely crazy, but there's just no sympathy. There's no remorse. There's no compassion. This man won't even light a candle for anybody that's died. He just does not care. And so for me, I'm just like, let him get the same treatment that the American people have gotten. You know what I mean? I don't think he should get the fancy first class helicopter ride to Walter Reed over in Bethesda. No, let him go to one of these hospitals where they didn't even have enough PPE, where, some of the nurses and some of the staff had to wear the same mask for 2 and 3 days, where people were sharing the masks, or people had to wear trash bags because the supplies weren't coming in fast enough. Let him go to one of them hospitals. And again, like he said, I think what did he say? Use the bleach or the hydro, whatever that is. Put some of that stuff in the IV, since he says that, that's what works. I saw that they were saying, he was getting some kind of special antibiotic trial. I'm like, okay, whatever. And I know there's people who keep saying, well, folks are really blowing up COVID-19. They're making it bigger than what it really is, and more people die from the flu. We've been hearing that crap since March. I'm like, listen, we're in week 39 of this pandemic. And I think, again, what makes it so bad about the whole pandemic is, again, the president knew the capacity of what this could become. The man is on tape acknowledging it, but then he gets out in public and he does the opposite, and it's all a hoax, fake news, the radical left, stupid MSNBC, stupid CNN, stupid whoever else is on the left, stupid whoever else does not kiss the president's behind. It's all fake. And so you just watch him just play into these stupid games. But going back to the idea where people keep bringing up the idea of the flu and there were more people who died from the flu. We've passed that threshold 100,000 bodies ago, so y'all gonna have to find a new argument. And again, even in week 39, according to the CDC, the mortality rate right now is 6.4%. So we know that with COVID, more likely than not, you will survive if you catch it, and it's not an automatic death sentence. However, 6.4% is still a relatively high number, and in addition to that, I look at it this way. Yeah, that means you most likely are gonna survive, but I say, look at it this way. Say somebody says they're going to give you $100,000, and all you have to do is get your most beloved family member, your mom, your dad, your wife, your girlfriend, your son, daughter, whichever family member that you just love the most. You can't see living in a world without them. Maybe it's your best friend. For some of you, it might just be your dog or your cat or your pet bird, whatever. You know what I mean? And all you would have to do is put them in a room with 100 people. And then there's going to be 6 random bricks that fall from 200 feet and kill 6 people in the room. Now, you recognize that more likely than not, that person that you sent in the room will come back out alive, but there is still a chance that they may not. Would you send that person in that room for that $100,000? Now, some of you are going to say yes, because some of y'all, the integrity goes out the window. Well, you let me think about this. You know what? Let me see about to do the percentages, but to carry the one, do the division. It ain't too bad. You know, some people just don't care. But, you know, that's how I look at it. And it's crazy that this whole thing has been politicized. Absolutely crazy. And like I said, I just can't, because it's just, man, come on. And I think people have really just created like this whole us versus them thing. It's always been that way in this country, but the us versus them and the good guy and the bad guy, the left versus the right, and it's so intense. But I'm like, it's a pandemic. Ain't nobody got time for that foolery. Because even when it comes to something like the stay-at-home orders that were from back in March and April, some people really painted that out to be like, oh, you know, they're trying to control our lives, and it's these people trying to, you know, they're gonna soon be controlling what we eat and da 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 da. And it was like, really, the stay-at-home orders weren't even really enforced that way. It wasn't like if you stepped outside of your house, as soon as you stepped on the porch, it was somebody with a gun, get back in the house. You know, oh, I'm sorry, I was just trying to walk my dog. I'll just let them pee in the garage. I apologize, and they closed the door. It wasn't even that serious. So it's just like it's crazy to see where we are right now, because there's no reason that it had to get to this point in October. 7 million people have this mess in the United States. 207,000 people are dead. The numbers are still climbing, and it's just all games. It's just, and then the integrity's out the window. This is a mess. It's all a hot mess. Like I said, you know, some people have taken the high ground, but jeez. Anyway. We'll see what happens. Oh, and to the people who keep saying that they don't think it's real and that they think it's a hoax and that, you know, he's doing this to, you know, for political gain. For me, I think the president having COVID-19 goes against everything that he's already been saying in the past. It contradicts the idea of it being a hoax. It also contradicts the idea of him being this invincible super being in super great health with the body of a 25-year-old that never gets sick and can still fight off everybody and, you know, everything else like that, and how he'd be able to fight off the gunmen when we start having the conversations about, you know, mass, you know, shooters and everything like that. It goes against all of that, and it paints Donald Trump to be human. And I think that goes against his inflated ego. So I don't think they would make that up. In addition to the fact that so many people in that circle and people who've just been in some of the same spaces with the president in the past few days are all catching it. You're seeing people, you know, even on the Judiciary, like Senate committee or whatever that was, you've seen like 2 people just catch it. You've seen people from the White House team catch it. You've seen people who were at some of the events catch it. Some of the people that were at the Rose Garden event have caught it. Some of the people who were at the rally or the fundraising, whatever that event was, have caught it. I think it's bigger than that. But it's crazy because it's not even too far-fetched to believe, because that's where the United States is as a country right now. It's just that chaotic. So it's not even something that's hard to believe. But you know what? We'll see how it all unfolds. It is what it is. Anyway, I'm out. Share your 2 cents. Subscribe.